It's nice to see you again. Welcome to another episode of How To with the Caribbean Gaffer, powered by 13 Degrees North Rentals. Now, in today's episode, we are going to be looking at site visits. And I'm going to be speaking about site visits from the perspective of being a gaffer and going out on location and looking for all the things that may affect shooting conditions, what I need to look for in terms of lighting, and how I cooperate with the sound team, with the camera team. And then we're going to get into another episode and we're going to talk to those professionals about what they look for on-site visits too as well. Now, to start off in today's episode, I don't have a bunch of tools here with me, but some of the tools that are definitely needed or that I like to travel with when I'm going on site visits are measuring tape, my light meter, my apps on my phone, so sun tracker, and then I have other apps that will show me framing, and if the DP doesn't have apps on his phone as well, or if he doesn't bring a camera or an camera lens. But it's always good to look at what you will be seeing in each frame, so that you could position and tell, okay, this is definitely what we will be shooting, this is definitely what I will be seeing. And as a gaffer, I'm always thinking about what is safe, what is not on camera, where I can position all my generators and power and create my staging area. Now, staging area is where we like to rest gear and make sure that that is never seen in frame. Now, when you go on a site visit, it's always good to establish where this zone will be so that you know what is safe from camera, so that nobody on the team will end up within shot. You know, okay, the camera will never see back here or in this corner, so you position your trucks over here or your gear over here, and you're always able to relate to the team, okay, this is safe. And then we will have that as staging area, and then we will move gear from that particular point to set. Now, as it relates to tools, it's always good to use like the measure tape, or I like to use the measure tape so I know distances in case I have to ask the key grip if he is not on site with me. Okay, I might need to say, or I need X amount of trap built or grid pipe built, or I need a box built, a moon, or I need to position a lift here, or I need this amount of distance for cable run. All those are things I'm constantly thinking about as I am doing my site visit and going through. Also added to that, my electrical meter. I generally always like to take my electrical meter, especially if I'm going on a location that is a house or pre-existing building with power, and I know that I'm going to be pulling power from that location, and I don't necessarily need to bring in a Jenny. In most cases, however, I do like to have generators as standby or backup just in case. And some of the things I like to look for as well is pre-existing lights and how these light colors would affect what mood we're trying to create. So if it's a street light and it's a bit green, or if it's a security light from a building, we tend to look for that in case we have to black it out or remove it or find some way of controlling that existing ambient light, or even if we need to switch it out to our own bulbs. Within housing in Barbados, it's always good to look and see, or within housing in general, it's always good to look and see if there's a pre-existing fluorescent fixture in case you need to change that out for your own tube, because fluorescents generally tend to give you a little bit of flicker or be more green. If, for example, we are shooting outdoors and we want to create our own street light or our own moonlight, it is always good to know what is around and how you can manipulate what is around and control it, so that you then are definitely in control of your look and feel of your set. In some instances, or in some cases, you may want that pre-existing light because it's going to give you the color that you want or the feel that you want. There are some shows that I have done that I have actually used the street light because that is what the director was going for, or because the budget wasn't big enough for us to bring in a whole condor and create our own lights. But there are always little workarounds and things that you have to give and take within certain situations on set. In most cases, I do like to have generators as standby or backup just in case. And because Barbados is so unique, when I'm working with the DP from outside of Barbados or directly from outside of Barbados, that is one of the things that we do like to mention in terms of power cycles of Barbados, so that everybody understands our unique disposition. With my electrical meter too as well, I like to check grounding and make sure that the set is generally safe. Safety is paramount within production. Is always safety first, safety first, safety first. And then I'm always checking to see where I'm going to be rigging lights and how I need to rig lights so that they are definitely safe. If I then need to implore to the gaffer, to the key grip, okay, I want to build a structure overhead so that I can hang multiple lights from it, and then we have to look at how we are tying off, where the safeties will fall, who will be walking underneath. All of those things as it relates to site visits are things that I generally like to keep in mind while going through. Being responsible for all the power, then you also have to think about where wardrobe is going to be, where hair and makeup will be too as well. And those distances for cable runs, or where we'll position a generator specifically for them, or for catering, or catering and crafty, or even if even if you don't have a locations tech or a locations electric, and then that electrical falls at me to provide power for the chemical toilets or lighting, especially if it's a night scene, and we have to then light where the trucks will be, or where catering will be, or where dinner would be. All these things I like to know as the gaffer so that I can control my power runs, and I know exactly how much power I will be needing, where to position the generator or the generators to make life very, very easy and simple for the team that I'm working with. And then is also coordinating with the other departments to make sure that their power needs are met, whether it's sound, craft, grips, camera. Each department at some point in time, props, each department at some point in time does need to have access to power, or will need to have access to power. So for me as the gaffer, it is always paramount that I am coordinating and liaising on with these other departments to make sure that everybody is definitely comfortable and their power needs are met, and we are not tripping or blowing any circuits whatsoever, and nobody is being electrocuted on my watch. Shooting here in the Caribbean, one of the things that we tend to utilize a lot is the sun. So it is always important to know which part of the island we are shooting in, if we are north, south, east, or west, and the sun path. If it is rising in the east and going across to the west, how it's setting. As the earth rotates and different times of the year, the sun positioning will change. So it's always good to know where the sun will be positioned at the time that you're shooting at. And it might not always be possible, but I generally like to do location scouting or site visits at the time of day generally that we think we'll be shooting the scene, so that I can definitely see firsthand where shadows will be falling or what is happening. Where that is not possible, obviously then using your apps and using the local knowledge, you tend to guesstimate, okay, this is what will be happening at this time. This is where the shadows will be at this time. This is definitely not the time of day that I want to be here or shooting this scene, and then you could make suggestions. If it is nighttime, you know, okay, well fine, I will have to get here an hour or 2 or 3 before to rig in, so that then when night falls, we already have some level of light that people can work safely during that period, so that you don't have anybody coming and tripping and falling or so forth. So those are the things that I generally like to keep in mind when I am going on location scouts or I'm doing site visits, so that we already have top of mind all the things that are necessary, and also it lends to how much crew you would need to work safely and efficiently while being on set. Now with that said, I want to thank you all. This was another episode of How To with the Caribbean Gaffer. Make sure and follow us on Facebook and on all social media platforms. Everything 13 Degrees North Productions, 13 Degrees North Rentals. We are here for you. I am also Kirk Dawson, known as the Caribbean Gaffer. You can find me on Instagram and make sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Now I'm off to my next site visit and I must take my hat. See ya.